The football season has officially finished, so we've decided we're going to go far too early with our Premier League predictions for 2022-2023. I know for a fact everyone in the comments is going to be saying, you haven't got a clue what you're talking about, but we've got to go for it. And
newsflash, we can't tell the future. We're just having a bit of fun here, people. Come on.
Although what I will say is, if any of this comes true, I can tell the future. So we have got that. We've got champions, top four relegated, top scorer, top assist, player of the season, and young player of the season. Let's have champions first. You've gone Man City. Back-to-back titles. That would be 5 in 6 for Pep.
Yeah. It would be 3 in a row as well. I think they're just so relentless, Manchester City, over the course of a season. I just think it's so incredibly hard to stop them. If we look at the headlines about what might be happening in terms of squad changes, I don't think it's massively detrimental when it comes to Manchester City. They've been linked with Marc Cucurella at Brighton. They need a left-back. He's a really good player. He can add something to that squad. They've already brought in Erling Haaland, of course, who I think is going to be sensational. They could lose Ilkay Gundogan, but I think they could find a central midfield player that could replace what he brings to the squad. It could be Paul Pogba on a free, who knows? But I think when it comes to Liverpool, if they lose someone like Sadio Mane, I think that could be massive for them. And I think that could really affect them.
Well, it all really depends on the transfer window, I think. As you just mentioned, Mane could go. Salah's been linked to leaving as well. So I can't imagine Liverpool let go of 2 of them. One of them might go, but they'll probably have a replacement lineup. Darwin Núñez is a player that I'm really fond of, can play through the middle, can play off the left. Of course, you've got Diaz already, so they might have already replaced Mane. I just think 3 on the trot for City after the season they've just had, where Liverpool have taken them all the way to the wire. And also I think City this year, well, the coming year, will be so desperate to win the Champions League. I think they will genuinely...
We said that this season.
Yeah, and it almost actually did make them trip up. It almost caught up with them. I think it'll be even more so the case next year. Hence I'm going Liverpool. But a club that I put in the top 4 race, I have sort of had to think about as potential title winners. Potentially Tottenham. I think they're going to run it really.
No.
I've put them 4th.
No.
Hold on a minute. It's Conte. They've got 150 plus million to spend. He'll invest heavily. I was tempted to switch these 2 around and even Tottenham into 2nd potentially. But it's a big ask. But I've gone Liverpool, City, Chelsea, Tottenham, no United. I don't think they're going to be near it. No Arsenal. But I think that top 4 will be a lot closer than it was this season.
Yeah, listen, for me, I think Manchester City and Liverpool will still be a cut above the rest. I think Tottenham and Chelsea are really intriguing. I've gone Tottenham 3rd. I believe the Conte juice,
see,
if that's a phrase you want to use. Listen, I think they will invest, and they will invest well. If they can hold on to Son and Kane, that's absolutely huge for them. We can see clearly that Conte has put in the foundations of a pretty solid side for next season. I believe Chelsea will stay in the top 4. The new owners, I think, will try and make a statement signing. Will it be Declan Rice? I'm sure they will have a couple of those defenders replaced as well, and I think they will have a strong team for next season. Thomas Tuchel as your coach, I think, puts you right up there as well. Yeah, I think Tottenham could have a good season, but I do believe these 2 will be still quite some way behind Manchester City and Liverpool. I just believe Pep Guardiola's side, I think with another year under him, the likes of Jack Grealish can add a little bit more to this side as well.
All I'm saying is if Conte gets a right wing back and a left wing back of his choice, and potentially a centre-back, they are going to be...
And a central midfielder.
Yeah, maybe that as well.
Maybe a right winger.
Well, 150 million can get you a lot of things, so I would really believe Tottenham will run it close. I mean, I've got them 4th, but I do think they could easily finish 3rd. I couldn't pick between the 2.
Let's have a look at the bottom of the table. Who we think is going to be relegated? Go on, Nubaid.
Well, we've both sort of backed Huddersfield or Forest, Bournemouth as well. Brentford is the surprise package on my end because I think they were in trouble before Eriksen arrived. Eriksen comes in, really pulls them out of the grave, really, because they stopped scoring goals. Ivan Tony's goal contributions had dried up. You bring in Eriksen, suddenly you've got someone who can play between the lines, and he was outstanding for them. Huddersfield and Forest, I just think both of them 2 sides, unless they invest heavily, just don't have teams that are good enough to compete in the Premier League. As we've seen with Norwich, Norwich absolutely dominated the league. And the same for Bournemouth. I think the same case for them. They will have to invest. And I imagine you're going to say the same for Fulham. I just think the Premier League to the Championship to the Premier League, the level is just so different and so much higher at the moment.
Yeah, that's it. I think there is a gulf at this moment in time. You have good coaches in the Championship. You have good players. They've clearly got a plan, and it has worked, in particular for Fulham. And you look at the number of goals that Fulham scored, and I know I've put them in my bottom 3, but we've been here before with Fulham. They are pretty much now a yo-yo team in the Premier League. it's great to look at some of the players who have performed and think, yeah, could Mitrovic go and score them 15 to 20 goals in the Premier League? The answer is no. I don't have to look into a crystal ball for that. He would have done it in the Premier League before if he were that player. He's not a young, up-and-coming player. He's established. He just had a fantastic season in the Championship, and that is because there's probably a division in between the Premier League and the Championship where Fulham and the likes of Norwich currently sit. They don't have a problem coming out of the division, but they do have a problem staying in the Premier League, and I would include Fulham in that. I think Bournemouth will have an issue as well. And whoever has won, and by the time you're seeing this, one of these two teams is a Premier League side, Huddersfield or Forest, again, would have to do so much in terms of recruitment to be solid Premier League sides. I don't think they're going to be a disgrace. I just don't think that any of these sides coming up from the Championship, and you'll all criticise me for this, will have enough. I do have two major concerns, though. Teams that narrowly stayed up this year that I think will be in the conversation. Leeds United, once again, whether Jesse Marsch is their manager or not, and Everton, who are going to have no money to spend. They have stayed up. We know they're a big club. I think it has been, 69 years straight in the top flight for Everton. But they are not going to have a huge amount of money to spend. We already know that complaints have gone in from other clubs, so watch that space.
Everton's a big shout. I won't completely disagree, but we completely disagree on this one. Top scorer. I cannot believe you're going with Haaland, completely unproven. I'll let you have your word on it before I jump in. Harry Kane for me, I think Conte. This whole thing for me is the Conte effect. If Conte gets what he wants, Harry Kane is going to score goals because he's turned Lukaku into a really formidable forward. I think Kane already is a formidable forward. We've seen, while Conte sort of pulled, I guess, a bit part team together, Kane has flourished. He's been outstanding in the second part of the season. And actually, if in the first part of the season he actually even scored 5 or 6, he would have been in the running for the Golden Boot this season. So I will back Harry Kane. I think Salah and Son will be up there as well, as they are every single season, especially Mo Salah. I don't think this man is going to be anywhere near it, but I want to hear your argument first.
So how many goals do you think Erling Haaland will score in 38 games? If he plays 38 games for Man City, go on, how many?
Wait, he's not going to play 38 games. So that's
Why
the first
not?
part. Pep Guardiola, is there even a player Pep Guardiola does start for 38 games? There isn't. Not even the centre-backs get 38 games. Only Edison does. So I don't think he plays 38 games in the season. He's got a lot of injury problems. And also, I don't think the transition from Bundesliga to Premier League is anywhere near as easy as what everyone thinks it is. And also in Bundesliga, Haaland plays against high lines every single week. For City, he is literally just going to be stood in the box waiting for deliveries. And I'm not completely convinced.
That's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to be stood in the box, waiting for the ball to be put on a plate, and he's going to use that beautiful left foot to score 2-yard tap-ins. The amount of chances that Manchester City, how many times do you see the ball go across the 6-yard box, no natural goal scorer to put the ball in the back of the net for Manchester City? My friend, this is the guy, and he will be doing it every single week.
He's got to stay fit as well.
If he stays fit, okay, and it's a big if, but he's a young player. He's had his injury woes. He's come back towards the end of the season for Borussia Dortmund. If this man is fit, he is scoring a hatful in the Premier League next season. Minimum 20 goals. Minimum 20 goals from Haaland next year.
In his first season?
In his first season, yeah. Listen, the goal's the same size, mate. It doesn't matter whether it's in Germany or in England. No, genuinely, when you're a goal scorer, like he does, he gets into that 6-yard box, he uses that power. That's all you have to do in this Manchester City side to score goals. They are that good. They're the top scorers in the league without a centre forward. I mean, they create chances for players out wide, for players through the middle. This is the best team in the league for me. And I think Haaland, like I said, will fill his hat in the Premier League. Look out for this guy.
All I'll say is they played Jesus through the middle for 2 seasons, created all them chances, and he didn't score that many goals. Top assists, I have gone with Trent Alexander-Arnold. I think we've seen season on season he's progressing, his game's improving, he's starting to play a bit more narrow as well, which is allowing him to play them passes into the final third a little more often. And with sort of Henderson tailing off and dropping in a lot more for him, I think what we're finding is Trent is actually getting a lot of his assists now, instead of in that right-back position, actually really central. And if Mane does go, it might be Jota through the middle, and then you've got an actual, basically a number 9. I know Jota isn't a 9 as such, but he plays a fox in the box, and if he gets deliveries, which Trent will provide, Liverpool score a lot of goals every single season. I don't think you can look past Trent. And he just miraculously has barely had an injury.
Yeah.
If I'm not wrong, I think he's only missed 7 or 8 league games in the last 3 seasons, and at that age, he's constantly improving.
I totally agree with you on this one. So I will blame the production team for asking me who I thought my top playmaker would be. And that's why I said Kevin De Bruyne, because I thought he was brilliant in the second half of the season. But in terms of assists, yeah, I'd go with Trent Alexander. Arnold as well. For player of the season?
Harry Kane. I'm telling you, I've gone a lot.
You're a secret Tottenham Hotspur
Yeah,
fan.
I've just realised I've gone Tottenham. They could compete for the title. I just think Kane will have an outstanding season. I think what we've seen with Salah is like I believe his level will just come back to where it needs to be again. I think De Bruyne has had a lot of injuries. I just think Spurs will build everything around Harry Kane, and we've seen it in parts. They've literally pushed for the top 4 because of that man. And pretty much the same argument. If he finishes top scorer, he's winning the Player of the Year.
For me, Kevin De Bruyne wasn't at his physical best for the first part of the season. We heard his comments about his ankle injury, saying that he probably wouldn't have played in the Euros last summer had he known that the injections that he took would have had such a detrimental effect on his ankle. He hasn't been physically there. I still think he needs a good pre-season, but towards the end of the season, he was getting back into the groove of playing those regular minutes. He was still getting substituted, 70, 80 minutes or so with those rosy red cheeks. He was blowing a little bit, but after pre-season and with the World Cup on the horizon, this man will be ready to go. He will be at his lethal best next season. Believe in Kevin De Bruyne.
All right. Feels like that's a caption for like a president. Believe in Kevin De Bruyne. Young Player of the Year.
What?
We're here again.
We are absolutely here again. Yeah, young player of the season after he scores 25 goals. Of course, in his first season in the Premier League.
He was at 20 goals for me.
I said minimum 25. Now I'm saying specifically 25, all right? Minimum 20, specifically 25. No, look, I honestly think you can't underrate a goal scorer. You know, I understand what you're saying, difficulty in making the transition from one league to another. When you're talking about an elite side like Manchester City, I think it will be easier for a goal scorer to fit in. I do think he will have to improve parts of his game, in particular linking up with his teammates, but he has that selfish streak, and ultimately goals win you prizes. And if he scores as many as I think he will, it will be undeniable that he's a young player of the year.
I can't argue it if he produces. On my end, I've gone with Saka. I think Saka or Trent could have actually won it this season. I think they should have won it this season. I think Saka's maturity for a player who plays as a right winger is incredible for a man of his age. After everything that happened last year as well at the Euros, for him to bounce back, he's been unbelievable for Arsenal. He's literally almost dragged them into a top 4 race because they really haven't had anyone with that type of consistency, even the likes of Emil Smith-Rowe or Martin Ødegaard. So for me, it's Saka. I think
he's got a year left on his deal, so you know he might replace Grealish at Man City as well. So you know it could be 2 Man City players or.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening. I feel like your entire list is City, and I'm getting bashed for Spurs. Look, as I said, it is definitely the far too early predictions. There is a long window, and lots of things will happen and change. But do let us know what you think.
Thanks for watching Football Forecast. For more great content, make sure you're subscribed to ESPN UK.